Right, everybody, welcome to Whit Talks with Motorcycle Live Online, and it's BSB Day, so we've got some esteemed BSB guests. We've got this year's BSB winner, Josh Brookes. There is 6 times BSB champion Shane Byrne, and now my mucker at Eurosport in the TV part of BSB, and Taz MacKenzie. Taz, you shot for the championship this year, ended up 5th, but it was a close finish. Hello, boys.
How are we doing?
Hello.
Hey. Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to ask Josh what kind of week you've had since BSB. You're obviously, I don't know where you are. You look like you're in some kind of cupboard. You've got a big sort of curtain behind you.
Yeah, probably a different week than probably most would expect. Amy and I decided to go back to Australia. So I'm currently in Australia. I'm in a hotel in 2 weeks hotel quarantine.
So you got 14 days in a room now.
Yeah, well, it might be more. I have to get 2 clear tests. So you get a test on the 2nd day, and that's got to come up clear. And then you got to get a test on the 10th day, and that's got to come up clear. And then you can leave on the 14th day. But if either of those tests come up with positive, then you have to then continue to do tests until you get 2 clear ones. So it's the shortest period of time I can be here is 14 days.
Sounds like a right result to me.
Talking about BSB,
I've got one of these. I'm fine. I can cope.
I got 6 of them. Don't worry.
Talking about BSB, how do we think this year was very different in terms of how the championship ran? It was a condensed championship, lots of races, 18 races, but really squeezed in 3 races a weekend, no showdown system. How do we think it worked? Me personally, I think it worked really well. I think, and we got some really good feedback from the TV coverage about how close the racing was and how exciting the championship it ended up being.
I think personally, I think we were very lucky that it worked out in such a positive way. I think just trying to think, like, if things had gone wrong, like say if you'd had a crash at the wrong time, or damaged a bike badly, or some crew in your team got sick or something. It seemed like it was quite a condensed rush job to get that many races through in a weekend, and then from every other weekend. I mean, from my perspective, I don't know how all the other teams went, but it seemed like everybody kind of got through without any major dramas. But I think the only reason we could, from a rider's perspective, the only reason I can see that we could get the schedule through, which was quite busy, is because we didn't have any other obligations. Like if you'd tried to add in pit lane walk, meet and greets with the public, your commitments to your teams, hospitality with rider interviews and chats, and then just the extra time it takes to get from the motorhome to the race truck or to the garage. If you added all those aspects in with the crowd, I don't think the schedule sort of could have worked, but we obviously didn't have the crowd, so then that made everything more streamlined, so we could get a bigger program through in the same period of time that was available. So lots of things kind of just happened to mesh in perfectly to make it a success that it was.
What are you doing, Taz?
Yeah, same really. It was less stressful probably on a race weekend. You could sort of relax and just focus on the job in hand. But for me, I really liked the race on weekend off. Every other week we were racing, so it was nice to be in that kind of routine and know exactly what you're doing. And yeah, it was like Josh said, it was critical. 3 races a weekend, you couldn't afford to make a mistake. You saw Jason Halloran and Christian Hidden, they didn't have one DNF all year, and they were fighting towards the end. So I think like Glenn Irwin, for instance, that DNF at Donington hurt him going into that last round, and it was crucial. There was no room for error, and yeah, it was, although it was only a short championship, it was the same for everyone, and doesn't matter if you're the Corona British Superbike champion. At the end of the day, we're all trying to fight and do our best, and it was best man that won it at the end of the day.
Given Shakey, the choice, then I was just going to ask. Shakey, I was going to say, given the choice.
Yeah,
hold on. just stop butting in, Whit. Listen, given the choice, right? Would you do a 2 or a 3 race weekend, and would you do showdown or non-showdown if you had the choice next year? That's to you two, obviously.
Go Taz.
Sorry. For me, when you're in the showdown, it's amazing because once you get in, like, if say there's 2 or 3 rounds to go before you have to be in the showdown and you get in, then it's nice then because you can almost relax. You're only gaining 5 points, so you can push each time for those 5 points. I know Josh last year when he was at Alton, he said he wanted to win more than he wanted to breathe just because he wanted those extra 5 podium credits. But it's then nice being at the middle of the year and someone crashes and you gain 25 points on them. So it's nice that you can take a big advantage then. But I think, I don't know, it's hard because if you're scraping or you've had a bad start to the year and all you need to do is just get into the showdown, then it's all right. But then if you make a mistake or you get injured at the start of the year and there's no showdown, then you're obviously going to be hurt a lot more by it. But I like the 3 races a weekend. That was nice because it was I don't know, there was just more opportunity to try and better yourself. And I think instead of building up to that Sunday and the weather could change or something could be out of your hands, then it was nice just to have that extra race to sort of, just try and prove a point and try and get back up at the front. So, yeah, I preferred the 3 races, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the 3 races. I didn't have a problem with that. Like I said, if it went back to normal, I think the schedule would be far too, or at least for me, the things I know I have to do in a race weekend, I feel like I'd be pushed for time and I'd get, I think when I'm short of time, I get like frustrated with small things. I let little things irritate me that normally wouldn't because I know I'm short of time and things aren't going the way I want it to. And then I don't feel like I can, offer my best performance on track because I'm not coming in with the right attitude. So I think if we had full crowds back and all other obligations that we like to or need to do, I think it would be too difficult to put 3 races in a weekend. But, I mean, the actual races themselves were fine. I enjoyed perfectly the 3 races. I think that was good. The showdown, I'm completely in the middle. I haven't got a strong opinion for it or against it. I think it's a good mechanism. It has a quality to it that if you're willing to look at what it brings, I think there is a quality there. Does it take something away from the championship? I don't think so. Certainly, it changes the element. I think it changes some elements, but the only thing I think that's a negative is that I don't think it's a complicated championship to follow when it's in, but it seems like some people say that the championship's more difficult to follow. So I think maybe that's a negative if the general public think that it's not as easy to understand and who's in what place, and they have to actually think in their head about who's going to make it in and who isn't. I think if there is a sort of some way you can find a negative, then maybe that's what it is. But for racing, I think ultimately the champion normally always wins anyway. I don't think we've seen a year, or actually in 2012 or 13 you won on the showdown system and I would have won on corrected points, on conventional points. So there is one occasion where it would have gone the other way, but I think every other year it's been the same champion either way. I think even the points would have been a bigger advantage. But
for me, I think when you talk about the showdown, if in a normal year, if you didn't have the showdown and it went down to the last race of the championship, why would you have the showdown? But in actual fact, 3 or 4 years out of 5 maybe would be the championship wrapped up, maybe a couple, sometimes even 3 rounds to go. So I think you wouldn't need it if you knew it were going to get out of the last round. But actually, most years, I think it does, on balance, add something to the championship. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Shakey, would you have won if it had been normal points? Because I can just see a little bit of needle coming here. You must have an opinion. You've got an opinion about everything else.
Well, I'm paid to have an opinion. You know what? I just think I get why the showdown happened. I get why they introduced it. I get the fact that it makes a bit of a spectacle at the end of the year. I get the fact that the championship can't be won until the last round. If anything, usually the last race, if not the second to last race, that makes for a great spectacle. But maybe I'm a bit older than both of you guys, and not quite as old as you, Whit. But I just look at it that when you're gonna fight for a championship, you fight to win as many races and score as many points as you can over the course of a season, and the one who ends up with the most points comes out with a championship at the end of it. Whereas, I think you alluded, Josh, didn't you, to the fact that perhaps if if somebody just scraped through into the showdown with, like, I don't know, literally no podium credits or nothing, but just enough points to get into the showdown, and then had a mega run through the showdown and won the championship, you'd almost feel like a little bit cheated if you'd been the guy that had been sort of right at the front all the time, done your job throughout the year, and scored a load of podium credits, but had some bad luck in the showdown. So, like Josh said, there's swings and roundabouts, and listen, as long as we're racing, I don't care what the format is.
What have we missed about this year then? Because we didn't go 3 or 4 of the circuits. Didn't go to Knockhill. I'm sure you would like to race at Knockhill, Taz. We didn't go to Thruxton. We didn't end up going to Cadwell. So is it the circuits you missed or the crowds? I know it was really weird getting to a circuit and there's no crowd there, because normally there's 30 or 40,000 punters. But in actual fact, when the racing was going on, we were watching monitors. You were on your bikes. You didn't really notice it till afterwards that people weren't there.
No, for me the biggest thing was just on the slowing down lap, really. Other than the other PR commitments or the pit lane walkabout or whatever, it was the slowing down lap. I had no one to wave to. I was waiting for Taylor, thinking, I'm just going to celebrate with him. You shake each other's hands when you're riding around, but there was no real thrill, or a lot of my mates come and watch me, so I try and spot them on the slowing down lap, but there was none of that, so I was just waiting for Taylor. But it was strange not going to some of the tracks that we'd been to since I started when I was younger, especially places like Knockhill and Thruxton. It's nice at Knockhill when you have a result and everyone's at the hairpin. I'm classed as Scottish when I have a result, but when I've not finished great, then I'm British. So it was nice for that fact, and for the, not just saying it because it's Knockhill, but the Scottish fans, they love going to Knockhill. That's like their one big event during the year. So not to go there was a bit of a shame, but hopefully next year we can get to more tracks and it will be a bit better for the fans.
For me, often, I mean, I feel like for an Australian in a British Championship, I've got a big following, and I'm really pleased for all the people that send kind messages and stuff. But it never really goes away that I'm the villain. So when I come around and I've won a race, I sort of feel a bit guilty, like I've robbed the people of a result for their local lad. You know what I mean? So with all the people not there, it was kind of like I didn't sort of get that that perspective. I was sort of like, we were all just racing for the race in itself. There wasn't a British crowd cheering for the local lad that I had to. I know everyone was watching at home, but I know it may sound weird, but that's just how sometimes it seems to me.
So as a villain, you need a bit of an audience, do you?
No, it's better without the audience. Right? For me, I don't feel as much of the villain. You know, I get away from that sensation of being the black sheep.
What about you, Shakey? Shakey, you're used to. I mean, in your racing days, we still get massive crowds for BSB. Like I said, typically it's between 30 and 50,000 at BSB. I mean, that's a lot of people. Certainly for us making the TV side of it, it's been, I've got to admit, it's been easier. Not as nice, but easier.
Only because you can get back out of the circuit easier and get back up to Yorkshire or wherever it is. That's the great thing about it, isn't it? But I don't know. There's a certain atmosphere that I think a BSB round brings, and I think that we do get a lot of crowd, like you said, and they're very knowledgeable, most of them, and very passionate about the racing. So, you turn up at a weekend on a Thursday or a Friday or whatever, and you're part of this show that goes on for sort of 3 days or whatever. And, everybody wants to say hello. Everybody's happy to see you. And yeah, I think the crowd, the spectators that we do get are fantastic. It's obviously really difficult for them having to watch just through TV, but as we've done the best job we can do this year with the Eurosport thing, and tried to show everything, tried to interview loads of riders, tried to get the perspective of loads of team managers, just do the best we can. And I said it a minute ago that just the fact that we raced at all, or the guys raced at all this year has been absolutely brilliant. And if the last race or the first race of the last round at Brands Hatch was anything to go by, we're in for a cracking year next year, I think.
I agree. What have we got planned for winter then before we sign off? I know I was chatting with a guy. I was at a local trial, and Josh, your name came up because he'd done the Scott trial, which, if you don't know your motorcycle trials, the Scott trial is the hardest, most grueling, it's a killer of a one-day trial up in Yorkshire, typically bad weather, hideous amount of sort of local scenery you've got to drag your bike through, and you actually finished it. And I don't know any other non-top trials rider who's actually got round and finished it. So what have you got planned there in Bryngelly? Have you got any riding planned, a motocross? I know you're quite a good motocrosser as well. What have you got planned?
Yeah, of course. Australia's going into summer over these months coming, so that obviously adds a different element to what you just spoke about in Yorkshire in the winter. But I like to do as much motocross as I can. Last time I was home, a lot of the tracks were closed because of the restrictions. Just as I left to come back to the British Championship, they were starting to open. So hopefully they can maintain being open and I can go to the tracks. Alternatively, mountain bike and a bit of road cycling. As I said, the weather's good, so get out on jet ski when I can. Just try and kind of live the life you don't live during a race season. So, I feel like quite lucky to be a motorcycle racer in the first place, but the race season is quite stressful. You do put yourself through a lot of work during the race season, so to sort of get that break at home and kind of separate myself from the racing, and I kind of have two lives. It's almost like I switch the Australian life off when I come over to start the season, and then I switch the racing season off and go back home to Australia and kind of start or operate in a separate life. So it's quite a good balance. I think I've got quite a nice mix of lifestyle where I can maintain, I think, a healthy lifestyle, and so that's what I'll do in the next few weeks. And obviously, make time to catch up with family, because England's a long way. Like, my parents don't come to any of the British Superbike races. I've got a brother and sisters, and they've got kids, and you miss out on a lot of family time. I'm not really an emotional kind of family guy, but it is still nice to get home and catch up with people. The season feels quite long to me when you're away for so long. So I kind of enjoy just sort of being back and sort of getting a bit of normality, or what people are used to, what they consider normality, back.
Yeah, it sounds awful, that, Josh. It sounds like you're going to have a rough winter. What about you, Taz?
Yeah, I'm just looking out the window now, and it's like drizzling, grey, windy, and I think, maybe just I could do 2 weeks in quarantine. But yeah, just normally this time of year, obviously we've got the NEC for 2 weeks, and that's not happening this year. So, but it's just sort of ticking over with training, catching up with friends, having a few drinks, and just relaxing a little bit. It was probably this year was quite relaxing at times during lockdown, but then it was quite a stressful little season we had. So, just a bit of mountain biking when the track we've got at the back of the house, when that's dry, try and get out on that. But just general stuff. Luckily, I don't have to work, so I can just chill out for a bit. But I'm sure Dad will get me cutting the grass or doing something at some point.
Shakey, are you still building your kind of retro bikes? I know me and you catch up every single weekend at BSB, and you've shown me pictures of big V4 stuff you're building. You've got some projects on the go, have you?
Well, listen, I don't build nothing. I've got the shiniest toolkit you've ever seen in your life, and it's absolutely brimmed with stuff. I've got no idea what it does.
It
looks the part. Yeah, exactly. I just shout at people when stuff don't get done in time. But yeah, my life at the minute consists of running back and forwards to the post office, sending out books. So I'm happy making some money doing that at the moment.
Good. Oh, well, boys, at your respective places. Good luck this winter. Have a nice winter, everybody. Really jealous of what you're going to be getting up to, Josh, because it sounds pretty idyllic, to be quite honest. So have a good winter, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you next year.
See you later.
Take care.
Cheers.
See you, boys.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.